Hi guys, this is going to be our Chapter 8 and Chapter 9 reading of Secrets of Droon. You can follow along with your page. Chapter 8 begins at page 58. If you don't have your book, that's okay. We are going to do it here on the screen. So what is the chapter title for Chapter 8? Get ready. Prisoners. And let's dive right into reading. Clomp, clomp. The children were marched into a room at the top of another tower. A dozen Nin warriors in shiny black armor surrounded them. Clang! The iron door was bolted shut. They were prisoners. Lord Spar paced back and forth before a thick blue curtain that covered one of the walls. Princess Kia, he began, you and your friends spoiled my plans to attack Zorfendorf Castle, and Galen discovered my little raid on Jaffa City. No matter. Having you as a prisoner is far more valuable. Besides, you have something that belongs to me. The princess backed away. Let us go, Spar. My father is on his way here right now. Spar laughed. Neither your father nor your mother will ever see you again. My mother died, Kia said, and the sorcerer smirked. Your mother is... Then he stopped. His eyes flashed. That leather pouch on your wrist. What? Kia said. Spar grabbed the pouch from Kia. My mother gave that to me, she cried, trying to take it back. But Spar held it high, and we're going to stop here for now. Looking at the first two words on our chapter 8, clomp clomp. What do we call words made up to describe the actual sound of something made? If you remember back in your vocab notebook yesterday, you had 3 of these special words. They're onomatopoeias. There's 3 here, and there's one more on this page. Where can you see a second onomatopoeia? Clang. Clang is our second onomatopoeia. And what made this clang sound? The iron door was bolted shut. The iron door made this clang sound. And what did Lord Spar think was far more valuable than attacking Zorfendorf Attacking Zorfendorf Castle or raiding Jaffa City? What did he find way more valuable than these things? Having Kia as a prisoner was way more valuable. If you said that, phenomenal job. And we are going to continue to the next page. Okay. His fins turned inky black. He began to shake. Oh, Jewel, if it be you, show me now your shape so true. At once, the pouch began to shrink in Spar's palm. It shriveled to the size of a small egg. Then it turned very smooth. Then it turned red. It began to glow. No, Kia gasped. No, no. Spark howled. The red eye of dawn. You had it all along. Now I have it. The first power is mine once again. Give it back to her, you smelly fish head, Eric yelled. He rushed at Spar, but one of the Nins grabbed him and pushed him roughly into Julie and Neil. Then the sorcerer spoke words that made their blood turn to ice. I know you 3. What? Julie said. How could you? You are from the upper world. And we're going to pause there. How did Lord Spar respond when Kia said her father was on his way? Looking back at page 59, how did Lord Spar respond when he told her? When Kia said, starting over, how did Lord Spar respond when Kia told her that her father and her mother were on his way? He told her that neither her father nor her mother would ever see her again. If you said that, awesome job. And what did Lord Spar think his pouch really was? He thought it was the Eye of Dawn. He was thinking that it was going to be the jewel that he was looking for. And why did he think the pouch was the red Eye of Dawn, even though it didn't look like a jewel? If you remember, Galen had put a spell on the red Eye of Dawn to change its shape. And now looking at the top of page 60 here with my little red arrow. What did Lord Spar say to break Galen's spell? "Oh, jewel, if it be you, show me now your shape so true." And listen to that sentence again. "Oh, jewel, if it be you, show me now your shape so true." What do you notice about the words you and true? They both rhyme. And what are literary devices? Literary devices are ways authors use words to make their writing more interesting. So when Tony Abbott added this, "Oh, jewel, if it be you, show me now your shape so true," this makes the writing more interesting. Rhyme is another kind of literary device. When words rhyme, they end in the same sound. What do words do when they rhyme? They end with the same sound. Often when authors make up magic spells for their stories, they're using rhyming words. So looking at page 60, let's get rid of this page here. Okay, describe the 5 things that happened to the pouch after Lord Spar said the spell. First, it began to shrink. This is the first thing that happened. And now second, it shriveled. This is one of our vocab notebooks. It shriveled to the size of a small egg. Third, it turned very smooth. And fourth, it turned red. And finally, the 5th and last, it began to glow. Lord Spar was right. The pouch was the red Eye of Dawn. What did this mean he had once again? What did he have now that he had the red Eye of Dawn? He had the first power once again. If you can't remember what the first power was, you can turn back to page 45. Or if you do remember, that's awesome. So what do you remember that the first power would let Lord Spar do? The first power lets Lord Spar command the forces of nature. So now he has that power. What about the way Lord Spar looks? I'm sorry, starting over. What about the way Lord Spar looks made Eric call him a smelly fish? Why did Eric call him a smelly fish? Probably because of his inky black gills behind his ears. All right, and moving on to page 61. After you've seen the illustration on page 61, we're going to turn to page 62, to the top of the page. "I have found the stairs. My stairs," Spar pointed at Eric. "They are in your house." Eric shuddered. "How do you know about that?" "I know many things about you," Spar said. Then he reached back and tore the blue curtain aside. "Oh no," Neil whispered. Behind the curtain was a tall display stand. On the stand was a round black and white object. "Our soccer ball," Julia exclaimed. I have learned very much from this object, Spar said, hovering over the ball, but not as much as I shall learn when I am done with you. Suddenly, a voice cried shrilly from the window. You are done right now, Spar. Everyone turned to see a mop of orange hair scurry down the wall. Stopping there, looking back at the top of our page 62. When you write 3 periods in a row, this is called an ellipsis, or ellipses. What do we call when you write 3 periods in a row? An ellipsis. Authors use ellipses for many different reasons. Sometimes they want to show someone said something slowly, and sometimes they want to show the person talking was interrupted. And sometimes they want the reader to use their imagination to fill in the rest of the sentences. So when we look back at page 61, there are a series of ellipses here that Lord Spar says. I know you 3. Listen to that sentence when I read it again. I know you 3. So now listen when I say it without the ellipsis. I know you 3. Why do you think Tony Abbott wrote an ellipsis after each word in this sentence? He wanted to show that Lord Spar was talking slowly. He wanted you to write the sentence, when he wrote the sentence this way, it sounds like Lord Spar is only just realizing that he knows the 3 friends. How had, how had Lord Spar learned of the friends? How had Lord Spar known who the friends were and where they had come from? Yeah, so on page 62, he found their soccer ball, right? And which character has a mop orange hair and would be able to scurry down a wall? If you thought Max, you're right, because he is a spider troll. And do you think Max would be able to rescue the children? We'll find out. Oh, no. Okay, looking at the top of page 63. I lost my pointer here. Okay. Max, Julie cried. The one and only. Max jumped to the floor and quickly spun a sticky web of threads around the nin's feet. Ha ha, he chittered. Guards, Lord Spar sputtered. Take them all to the dungeon. His red warriors lunged at the children and tripped on Max's gooey web. All right, Eric cried, leaping for the soccer ball and tossing it high. Neil, your famous back kick. Just like in the basement, Neil grinned. Heads up, everybody. He jumped at the ball and kicked it hard. Ah! One nin groaned. My nose! Serves you right, Julie shouted. She snuck up and kicked the ball again. This time, it went straight for another nin's stomach. He fell back into 2 others, knocking them to the floor. How did Max help the children? He used his sticky web and tripped the nins. The children also helped themselves. How did they do that? They kicked the soccer ball at the nins. And if you can find another onomatopoeia word, we have one more on page 63. Yeah, Ach is our onomatopoeia word. And let's add this new example of onomatopoeia. We call expression that we don't really mean to say idioms. So idioms are expressions that we really didn't mean to say. What do we call expressions that we don't really mean to say? Idioms. In this part of the story, heads up. Heads up is an idiom because it doesn't mean put your head up. It means watch out, or watch out for something that is coming, or look out. And what does an idiom heads up mean? Yeah, it means watch out or look out. And now we're going to turn to page 264. Okay, looking at page 64 and 65. Top of the page. Score, Eric said, diving for the ball. I'll get the red eye of dawn, Kia cried, but Spar spun around and raised his fist. Kablam! A bolt of red fire shot from his hand. He staggered backwards as the fire blew past Kia, punching a hole straight through the wall and to the hall outside. We'll get that eye later, Eric shouted. Everybody out. He jumped through the hole in the wall with Neil and Kia. Julie and Max ran after them. They all rushed down the hall, but the Nins were right on their heels. This way, Eric cried, tumbling through the narrow door. He tossed the soccer ball to Julie and slammed the door behind them. Uh-oh, said Nia as he looked around. Dim light from the high window showed that they were in a small room. A very small room. Uh-oh is right, Julie said. I think we found a dungeon all by ourselves. Touch or look at the first word on page 64. Why did Eric say score? Maybe because he felt knocking down the Nins was like scoring a goal in a soccer game. And Kia didn't manage to get the red eye of dawn, but what happened while she tried to help the children escape? The bolt of red fire Lord Spar shot from his hand to keep Kia away made a hole straight through the wall. Now, find the word kablam at the beginning of the first word of this long paragraph on page 64. What kind of word is kablam? Yeah, it's an onomatopoeia. Let's add this new example of onomatopoeia. Kablam. Max and the children all made it through the hole in the wall, but was their escape a success? No, they ended up in a small room and that might be a dungeon, right? So we've finished reading chapter 8 of the book. Again, Tony Abbott used the sentence at the end of the chapter to make you wonder what will happen next. What do we call the endings that make us wonder what will happen next? Cliffhangers. If you remember cliffhangers, phenomenal job, guys. Now follow as I reread the last 4 sentences of chapter 8. Dim light from a high window showed that they were in a small room, a very small room. Uh-oh is right, Julie said. I think we found a dungeon all by ourselves. Do those sentences make you wonder what will happen next? Yeah. And does this chapter end with a cliffhanger? Yes, it does.